Well, good morning there, story chasers. I will tell you I have a little bit of trepidation about doing this video. I debated whether or not I wanted to do this because it's a little bit embarrassing for me, and well, you'll understand why. The thing is that I have vowed to show the good with the bad, and last night I had an incident that scared me a lot, and I had to end up calling 911 to get an ambulance out to me. The anxiety that I have a little bit right now is talking about it because I'm a bit embarrassed, I suppose, but I know it's a topic that we've discussed on the channel. People have asked me, like, what would I do in an emergency situation? What would I do with my dog in an emergency situation? And that came up last night. So let me get to the story. All right, so this is what happened, and you know, I've been pretty vulnerable on my channel, but this one is really vulnerable for me. So I mean, even if I suppose I look silly for doing this, I'm still going to share it because I think it's important. So let me just start from the beginning. I am at a campground in North Carolina, and I was sleeping, and it was middle of the night, and I woke up all of a sudden to some really bad pain on the right side of my stomach. It was after I was sleeping on my left side, and I turned over to my right side, and all of a sudden I felt this pain, and then I felt a little bit of pain up in my right shoulder. So I was like, oh, I thought it was gas. And so as I kind of got up from out of bed, I could feel it almost shift a little bit, like in my rib cage just below my breast. And so kind of in the middle here, but just below the breast area. And it felt like this intense pressure, but like, it just felt like gas to me. So I had some Gas X, so I took Gas X, and then I took some Tums, and I've had gas before, and it felt a little similar to that. So I took all of that, and you know, it takes 15-20 minutes sometimes to go away. Walking around helps. Sorry to be gross, but flatulation and burping also helps to get rid of gas. And so, you know, the walking helps with that. So that's what I was doing. But it was getting worse. It was really intense, and it just wasn't going away. And all of a sudden, about 20 minutes into it, I started feeling very clammy. My face went really pale. I was starting to sweat, and it scared me a lot. And so I was like, this is different, but still I was thinking it's just gas, it's gonna go away, and it just wasn't. And then all of a sudden I started feeling like I might pass out, and the pain right there in the middle that I was telling you about was getting more intense. And so in my head, I'm like, am I having a heart attack? Like, it scared me. I'm like, this is different than I've ever experienced before. And I'm concerned now that it could be something that's not gas. So I was like, should I call 911? You know, in my head, I'm going to be embarrassed if this is gas. And I call 911, and it's all for no reason. Plus, on top of that, an expensive bill. But it wasn't going away, and I was getting worse and worse. And then my breathing started to get a little awkward. And I think that was because I was actually starting to panic, though. And so I decided that it was best to call 911, and that's what I did. So thankfully, I remember the name of the campground. It's one thing that you always need to make sure you have is a piece of paper, or even if you write a sticky note somewhere that shows the name of the campground and your site number, so that in case something like this ever happens, you can remember very quickly without having to search for it when you're on the phone. So I have that information on my countertop here in the kitchen when I was calling emergency responders. And so I was able to tell them where I was at very quickly. While I was on the phone with the emergency responder, you know, she's talking me through everything, asking me questions, and I could feel that I was starting to get worse, actually. Like, the pressure was still really there, but it was more my breathing. It felt like panic to me is what it felt like. I was really scared, so I'm sure that was part of it. I feel like that latter part, the breathing, and then the feeling of dread was overwhelming and scared. So that was definitely, I'm pretty sure that was panic. She kept asking me how I was feeling. She'd already dispatched emergency responders, so it was taking a while. And I remember I kept telling her, like, please tell them to hurry, please tell them to hurry, because I was really scared. And again, these symptoms were also going on. I was still clammy, sweaty, face was pale, pressure was there. Again, my breathing, it wasn't that I couldn't breathe, it was that I felt like I was starting to like again, it was the panic feeling. I've never had that experience, so I didn't know what to compare it to, I suppose. But that's, looking back at it now, I feel like that's what it probably was, because I'm by myself and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if it's a heart attack, are they going to get here quick enough? I made sure that I opened the sliding door really quickly. The sliding door was open now, but I had the screen down, so that was good. I turned my outside light on. Lily was still in bed, and I actually changed clothes really quickly because I was just in a night shirt. I was doing all of this while I was talking to the 911 operator. And then she asked me if I had any aspirin, and I wasn't sure if I did. I thought I did, but I couldn't find it immediately. And then I found it. It was chewables, low dose, and so she told me to take 4 and don't take any water, unless I felt like I just needed to kind of wash it down, but just take a little amount. She said she was afraid that I might get sick and throw it up. I did exactly what she told me to do. And by this time I was already starting to feel better by the time I took the aspirin. That was good. And so I was relaying all of this information to her. About 5 minutes before the ambulance arrived, I actually felt better. Like, I felt like all the symptoms were just gone. And that had already started to happen before the aspirin. So I was aware that, like, wait, is it the aspirin doing it, or is it the gas is finally going away? So by the time ambulance got there, which felt like forever, but I looked back at my phone and it was only 15 minutes had gone by from the time I actually called 911 to the time that the ambulance arrived. So I had told her, I was like, well, maybe they don't need to come because I'm feeling better now. But she said, I think you should be safe and just have them at least check you over. So that's what we did. So when they arrived, they put me into the ambulance. And by the way, guys, I'm sorry, I don't really have a lot of footage of this. In the moment, I'm not thinking about filming. So the best that I got was a shot of me while I was inside the ambulance, and it was only my feet, and the ambulance as I was getting out of it and it was about to drive away. Again, it's just not the first thing that I thought about doing. They put me in the ambulance and I had to lay out on a stretcher. They asked me a zillion questions, like, what happened? When did it start? They hooked me up to an EKG machine. They had to pull up my shirt and they were so apologetic. They're like, I'm so sorry. You're going to be exposed a little bit right there. I didn't have a bra on. And they took my temperature. They pricked my finger to take my blood sugar. They took my blood pressure. They did my EKG twice, I believe. They called it taking a picture of your heart when they were doing it. And everything was normal. And I told them that I thought it might have been gas, but I was like, I don't know. I told them all the things and I just wasn't sure. What it ended up being, what we think it was for sure, was just gas. Like extreme gas. It was bad. And I did have my vaccine, my second dose vaccine 2 days ago, and I've gotten gas. This is now my 4th time since having that vaccine. I asked them if they had heard of that happening. They said they hadn't heard of anybody getting like extreme gas like that after the vaccine. But that's the only thing that's really changed. Yesterday, I did have a diet soda, which I don't always have diet sodas, but occasionally I do. But I don't really have issues with them. So I can't figure out what would have caused it. I had a Subway sandwich that had bread, which I haven't had bread in a while. So that could have been it, maybe. I don't know. But whatever it was, it hurt. And I would really like to get down to the bottom of why that happened, because I don't want that to ever happen again. Needless to say, it was scary. And they asked me, they're like, is there anybody we can call? This is the 911 operator. Is there anybody that we can call, your family? And I'm like, no, there's nobody around me. And I didn't want to worry my family. They're too far away. They can't get to me right away. So I figured, we'll just wait and see what happens. And I know, like, the next question is Lily. Lily was in bed If I had to have gone to the hospital, she would have been fine in the RV because it was very cool temperatures outside. So I did have a couple of windows open already, and she would have been perfectly fine in there if I had to go to the hospital. If I had to stay for very long, I would have had to figure out alternative measures to get her out of the van, of course, and do something with my van. So I would have had to have called a friend or somebody to come down here to help out, or probably get the ranger. You know, they would have gotten my keys, get the ranger to come over there, grab my keys, and get Lily out, and we would figure that out. Yeah, I've never had that happen before. I've never had to call 911. It was a really crazy situation, and like I said, very terrifying. Yes, I called 911 for gas, apparently. I mean, at least we can say that, and I can laugh about it now. I'm sure I have a bill that's gonna be a crazy bill for having gas, but at the time I didn't know what it was, and I really thought something was wrong because, again, the clamminess, the sweating, my face going pale, almost feeling like I'm gonna pass out. I apologized a zillion times to the ambulance emergency responders because I just felt like such an idiot, you know? I felt embarrassed, and I'm sure they've seen it all, but, you know, and they just kept reiterating to me, it was better to be safe than sorry, and you only have one heart, and he's like, you did the right thing. So still, anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know because I know this is a topic that we discuss. Thankfully, it wasn't any worse than it was, and it was all squared away, and I didn't have to go to the hospital. Now I just need to figure out what's going on that I've had the gas so much, because I didn't have any other real effects from having the vaccine except a pretty severe headache the day after, just as I was waking up, but I took some Tylenol and it went away within a couple of hours and I was fine. I didn't have any other issues. So I don't know. It'd be interesting if you guys had the vaccine. Did you guys experience any gas like afterwards? Mine was Pfizer. And it only happened after my second dose. Let me know in the comments below if you've had anything like this happen before. And be sensitive, please, to the comments. I don't want to be judged. Yes, I know I need to lose weight. We don't need to talk about that stuff. I know people who are skinny who have gas. So, I mean, it's a fact of life. We all get it. But I don't know, maybe something's going on with me, so I might go to a doctor sooner than later just to get a full blood checkup and just make sure everything's okay and see if there's anything else going on, just to make sure. Again, super vulnerable video, but I'm happy that I could get through it and share this with you guys. Again, I'm sharing the good with the bad. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video, and hopefully it's a lot happier than this one. All right, guys, bye.